Welcome to Mangaroos, a place where we, a bunch of manga enthusiasts, talk about some manga that may or may not be out in English yet. We pick a theme, one of us picks a book on that theme, and then we talk about it. This week is The Ice Guy and His Cool Female Colleague. This one has an English title.
Does it ever?
Yeah, it does. It has an English title that stays true to the Japanese title. I guess, should I say that one too? Kori Zokuse Dashi to Kuru na Doryo Joshi.
Oh, yeah.
By Miyuki Tonogaya. Sorry, I always make up people's last names. I'm okay. Alex, and I'm joined by...
Iceman Mark. I am very, very interesting and very innovative.
And me, cool female colleague Jason. I am going to bring you a can of coffee when you're working late. Thank you.
That's always a cool thing to do, though.
It is extremely cool. Can I start this episode? This is going to be a controversial statement, but I think I have a crush on Fuyutsuki-san.
No.
I think everyone does.
Okay, is that
we're all totally crushing.
That's the takeaway.
Okay, that's supposed to happen. Away. Okay, good.
Infinitely crushable.
I hope you don't
she's
crush
like
her.
She's like one of those drink bottles that if you just like touch it with your pinky, it just collapses.
I mean, this is one of my questions later, but I feel like the thing that makes Fuyutsuki so adorable is that she has no shame. Like, but she has shame. She has shame, but like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of things that she does are things that girls in the real world might have trouble doing so boldly. She's a very bold individual, I think.
Like
are you basing that only on the first volume?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I only read the first volume so far, but I don't know. It just me, like, I could never do any of this. So maybe I'm just a shy girl that like I would never be able to do this to like somebody who I thought was hot, but I don't know.
See, that's good insight because I've never considered myself a shy girl. So maybe I just wouldn't recognize how bold Fuyutsuki-san's being. But now that you mention it, I can see it. Mark, what do you think? Have you ever been a shy girl? Do you consider yourself a shy girl?
I've never been a shy girl, but I have been with a girl who is very forward, like Fuyutsuki-san.
Ooh.
And
now, when you say "with," do you mean in a romantic sense, in an adult sense?
I do mean in a romantic sense. I have been with a similar Fuyutsuki-san type character in real life, and when you are with this sort of person in social settings that involve more than just the two of you romantically, it often
wait,
lends itself.
This is you romantically? Wait, what? Are you talking about an orgy? Sorry.
Not that it's any of our business.
I got lost.
No, I think the qualifier, the adjective ends there with the two people.
Okay.
So when you're together, I don't think it really stood out. But when we would be in a mixed company, in a group setting, right? With multiple people,
not romantically.
Not romantically.
Okay, that's why I tripped up.
It was an ambiguous statement. It lent itself to very awkward situations because she would just say things, just blurt things, like things that you normally wouldn't say. I mean, someone with any modicum of good sense. But I wouldn't say that it didn't faze her because she definitely noticed it. But at the time, she didn't care. It was only later when we would go home and she would reflect on how things went at the party that night that she'd be like, maybe I crossed the line there. Maybe I could have phrased that better.
Wow.
Maybe she was too cool.
She was cool. Yeah.
Did she start as your female colleague, or?
She started as my female dokyusei.
Ooh, that's like a colleague at school.
Colleague.
A school colleague.
That's her, or a school colleague at college.
At college, a collegiate colleague.
Oh yeah, a collegiate
college colleague. Did you like really? Did you feel like Fuyutsuki-san was kind of someone you knew? Like, was this like a familiar experience for you reading manga?
No. Fuyutsuki-san is, I mean, she's definitely someone's idealized version of that kind of archetype of character. So I don't think anyone would ever be as perfect remotely quirky as Fuyutsuki-san is, but I did recognize a few things that were like, oh, okay, this is gonna be like real life situation type deals.
Cool.
Yeah, so just, I guess, for the viewers or listeners.
Ear viewers.
Ear viewers. This manga is mainly about, I guess, a cool female colleague and her ice guy. Yeah. So I guess the title says it all, but yeah, he's descended from, I guess in English we would say abominable snowman. I don't know. Is that Yuki Onna is like a woman of the snow?
I did some research on Yuki Onna, who is like one of these traditional Japanese apparitions, supernatural beings, as it were.
Folklore legend.
In the authoritative Wikipedia article, it said, not related to the Yeti or the Abominable Snowman, evolved completely separately in like northern tradition, folklore of Japan, been around for centuries, who knows how long.
Okay, so similar theme, not related.
Not related. The Wikipedia article was very clear, and I trusted that Wikipedia article. It had been edited many times.
And it's also not Elsa, right?
No, not Elsa. That would be...
Okay.
That's also a very famous Yuki Onna.
Yeah. When I think
I see what you did with the Let It Go.
Yeah. Well, so the Yuki Onna thing is a real historical. There's documented evidence of this.
Yeah, the oldest one...
It's not just invented for this manga.
No, definitely not. The oldest tale dates back to centuries ago in Niigata. And the earlier version was... There was this young man who lived all alone deep in the woods. And in Niigata, it snows so much because it's right by the Sea of Japan.
Especially the other day.
Oh my gosh, yes, just getting pounded.
It just got slammed.
Slammed.
By the way, should we mention that we're recording this in the middle of a blizzard? Like it's the snowiest several days in recent Japanese history.
Cold as ice.
Tokyo's totally fine though, but everywhere except Tokyo.
Everywhere except Tokyo. It's getting blessed with snow. But
in the Hama.
This young man, he's deep in the woods in his house. He's just chilling, minding his own business, whatever. I mean, maybe he chops wood like Tanjiro. Who knows what he does for a day job? But all of a sudden, deep in a cold winter night, there's a rap on the door. And he says to himself, who could this be? I live all alone. I'm way out here in the middle of nowhere. Why would anyone come to my house at this time? It's probably just a crank call. But, being a responsible young man, he opens the door, and there, in the middle of a blizzard, is the most beautiful woman that he's ever seen. And she has... Basically, yes.
She came with a handmade sand drum.
well, she's got this long white hair, and they get to talking, and they really hit it off, and then in the story, they get married. She's like, yes, look, I love you.
Wait, that's the end of the story?
No, that's not the end of the story. They get married.
Some stuff happened in the middle there.
But the thing is, she never wants to take a bath, and that kind of escalates a little bit between them. It's like,
because she's like, he's like, you're stinky.
It didn't say that. It didn't say that she was stinky, but he was like, hey, I think you should take a bath, and you leave these little passive aggressive notes, and it was starting to cause tension in the relationship. And then she was always like, no, I can't take, I cannot do this thing. And in Japan, taking a bath is very central to the. You do it every day.
We're all in our respective bathtubs right now.
We're all in our respective bathtubs. Your bathtub is where you find it. And finally, he just insists. It's like, you've got to take a bath. And she, being the good wife who loves her husband, says, yes, okay, I will do this thing. And then he waits. He's like, oh yeah, finally my wife's going to take a bath. This is so great. And he waits 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. And
this is becoming like a horror story.
Yeah. No, and it's like, what is going on? This is not right. And then he opens the door because he's waited hours and he's worried about his wife naturally. And all that's left in the bathtub is one frozen icicle. And his wife is never to be seen again.
Wow.
That is really not how I expected that story to end.
Yeah, that's not how I expected the story to go.
I'm wondering what the physics are there. Like, how did she just... I thought she would have melted or something.
Well,
I think she melted through icicle.
In this one, too, Himuro does mention that he might melt. in Okinawa. So
Yeah.
he did it. But
one thing about we should talk about the manga that we read at some point during this episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, actually, Alex, do you want to kick us off? Because
okay. So there's two characters. This is mainly about Himuro, the guy who is the ice guy. He is descended from Yuki Onna, who I guess she didn't turn into the icicle. I guess she lived her life and then made kids. And then some of them
she had a history
grew up in
before
Kansai
finding
area.
that guy in the woods.
Yeah, she had a So anyway, he's one of those. And then his coworker is Fuyutsuki, this cool girl that we're talking about. And there's a lot of very heart-throbby moments. And my first question was, which one spoke to you or was the most relatable to you? I don't know, whoever wants to go first.
The most relatable heart-throbby moment?
Yeah, I don't know. One that, you felt the most Mune-kyun.
It's hard to pick just one, because we should mention that each chapter of this manga is 4 pages for the most part.
Yeah.
Right?
And each one centers on, a Mune-kyun moment.
Yeah, so there's a lot to choose from here. Mark, does one jump to mind for you, specifically?
I made notes of 3 that really were this made my heart go a pitter-patter. One was when Himuro-kun gets up the courage to give Fuyutsuki a present, and he gives her the knee blanket, which I think is only native to Japan. In other places,
gotta keep your knees warm.
It's just not cold enough. But in Japan, women everywhere need knee blankets. I need a knee blanket as well.
I have one by my desk.
Yeah, exactly. It's not gender specific, but yes. And then she actually ended up using, even though it's not a really cool knee blanket, it's just kind of a regular, maybe he picked it up at
not
Daiso.
Not one of those ones with race cars and flames.
No,
he didn't pick that up at Daiso.
I don't know where he got it, but
I hope he went to afternoon tea or something a little cute at least.
Okay.
I'm taking notes about where to get the good knee blanket.
This is important. This is life skills. And then she was like, "Attakai yo," that panel. That was a Mune-kyun moment for me, because if someone really liked a present, it's so hard for me to get presents.
Presents are tough.
Presents are tough. So that was for me. Jason, did any moment move your heart?
I like the one where they're in Okinawa and they're looking at the little lions. What are they called? The shisa?
Shisa.
Oh, yeah.
And they both see one that has kind of a goofy looking face, and they both reach for it at the same time, and their hands touch. And it's just it's such a classic Lady and the Tramp spaghetti and meatball type of moment. But I like that one. And then I also like the one where he gives her the earrings, right? Mm-hmm. So we find out later that he gave her the knee blanket, but what he really wanted to give her were those earrings, the snowflake-shaped earrings. And so finally he works up the courage to give those to her. This is later on in the book, and she loves them clearly. She doesn't exactly express in words how much she loves them, but then she says something like, well, we've got to figure out what to get you for your birthday, or what was the exact line that she said? And just not only was that the perfect encapsulation of why she's a cool female colleague, but just those little subtle moments where you could kind of feel their relationship building a little bit.
Yeah, she keeps the momentum going, doesn't she?
Yeah, I mean, so I really there's a whole full page of her with the earrings.
Oh, who could forget?
She puts them on immediately, and then she's like, "Niaimasu ka?"
Yeah. Okay, so I had a little doubt about that. Can you really put on earrings that quickly?
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
You can. But is she wearing mittens? Because then no. Oh no, she's not. She's not.
Hang on, Mark. Can we segue here? Do you mean to tell me you've never put on earrings, Mark?
No, I've got the same pair of earrings that I've had in my head for 17 years. So
that's what I thought. Oh, yeah. So okay.
So
I had the same thing. So I used to have real big fat earrings a long time ago, and then I took them out and I never put anything back in there ever again. So,
exactly. Either they're in or they're out. You don't really.
The idea of putting them in and out all the time it does sort of freak me out.
It baffles the mind.
Okay, welcome to earring talk.
Yeah.
She did that
earring
really
talk where you can put earrings in pretty quickly. I think.
Jason, you have hit on a scene that for me was really the heart of the manga, or at least this volume 1. when it's her birthday, and there's so many like mini chapters about like, oh, what are we gonna do for birthday? Oh, how I'm gonna tell Himuro-kun. He already knows. He's like, well, what I'm gonna do with the present and whatnot. And then they finally, like, he walks her home, and then because he gets all nervous, like everything freezes around them, and it becomes a winter wondерland, and it's just like beautiful. And she's like, is this my present? And he's like, well, no. And then he gives her that. But this page 86, 87. Oh my
it's really
gosh.
good.
It's
awesome.
awesome.
Really beautifully drawn.
So this is the scene where they're outside, they're walking in an urban park kind of?
Yeah,
and
like
then
an urban park.
The way it works with Himuro-kun, I guess, is like when he gets nervous,
It's
gets
like
cold?
Nervous excitement, like anything that like just like shocks his system turns into like snow or ice.
So he basically freezes the entire surrounding area, so all the trees are covered in ice, and it's a winter wonderland, literally.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful 2-page spread, really nicely done.
This artist is just really good at drawing though too. Like she's just very good. Yeah.
Incredible
Point.
Yeah, I was gonna say it really gave her a chance to show off her skills, because she blew me away with the art.
I know I keep talking about Fuyutsuki-san and like lol waifu whatever, but I do have to say, like, I've read a lot of manga, I've read a lot of comics. I don't think I've ever read a manga where the artist was so able to capture what makes a person attractive in real life. Like, it's not this over-the-top beauty. It's not like this crazy manga, stylized beauty. It's like the little subtle facial expressions that someone makes that makes you notice them. Like, somehow those are just really captured well in this. And I think that's what made her just kind of leap off the page as a character. It was really amazing, actually.
Yeah, like, it's really amazing that this was just a side project. Like, I don't know if you guys read the little like.
Well, because she has that Shinsengumi series.
She was doing the Shinsengumi series and just did this as like a side project, and then it just blew up online.
Yeah, good for her. So can we talk about that real quick? So this series originally was on Pixiv, right? Mm-hmm. So Alex, can you tell us a little bit about that platform? Because I don't really know how Pixiv works. Do you?
Like, I used to be on Pixiv more in the past. Recently, I'm not on it as much, but there's a lot of good manga on Pixiv because, like, it's no filter. Anything people want to upload.
So is it just like user generated? Is it like a social media network or?
Yeah. It's like I don't know if you guys ever went on DeviantArt.
Sure.
Yeah. It's like the Japanese DeviantArt. So of course there's like tons of manga on it. And
so
there's
Pixiv isn't affiliated with Square
stuff.
Enix or anything.
I don't know if they have like a relationship because like I know that they have their own thing where they help mangaka like hook up with publishers.
Ah, cool.
But like I don't know like the whole roster of publishers or like who they're most like close with.
And I just mentioned Square Enix in case you're listening. That's who published this manga in book form. Can I ask a real quick question, Alex, before? Just what did you both think of the fact that this was published in like a waidoban, like one of those really big books? It's not the traditional tankobon size, right? It's a big book. At first, I was like, I don't know if it needs this treatment. What did you think of that?
I mean, I've read comics that were popular online before and then became books, and like a lot of them do become waido.
Is that just because of the format?
I don't know. Like, I don't know exactly. Like, there must be some publisher thing that decides, but a lot of them online that get turned into books, like a lot of them that are like for panel comics, that kind of thing, they usually get made into waido. I don't know why.
I wonder why that is. But did it work for you? So you didn't think of it at all? You didn't feel any kind of way about it?
I didn't feel any kind of way about it because it just seems kind of normal to me, like, to be waido. But what did you think, Mark? Were you sad that you had to shell out more money because it's so bigger?
Well, I'm going to be completely honest. I exhausted every resource at my fingertips in order to acquire this manga in physical form, but I was unable to do so. So maybe the fact that it was waido made it made it more difficult to stock or more difficult to find at some of the smaller places. Jason lent me his copy kindly.
Yeah, we should mention that, huh? Like, this manga is so popular right now that you can't find volume 1 in most stores.
Yeah, it was really hard to get. But it didn't, it wasn't awkward or anything. The size was fine. It wasn't like a gigantic tome that I had to lug around. It wasn't like the Akira volumes that are like...
Well, those are like phone book size.
Yeah, it wasn't like that. So
I wonder if listeners
it didn't bother me.
know what a phone book is. I guess if you're old enough.
You may have
the thing we used to look at.
Polaroids of them.
Anyway, sorry, yeah. I felt like it was too big. I wish it was tankobon size. The end. Thank you.
Okay.
The thing that was awkward for me, I was not used to consuming manga in this really small, short serialized form.
Okay.
Like, that took some getting used to.
Really? You didn't... as a kid, did you not read, like, comic strips?
Well, I was going to say, to me, it reminded me of reading those Garfield collections.
I sure... And I was going to... I was going to point that out later. Yes, it absolutely reminded me of the funny papers that I grew up with, which do not exist in Japan, by the way. And I remember when I got my first Japanese newspaper subscription, I was like, this is going to be so great. There's going to be so much manga in here. And then there's like
That's what you wanted from it?
Yeah. And there was like one Sazae-san panel. And I'm like, what the hell is this?
Well, I mean, I guess the only other experience I've had like that is reading... And I haven't read a ton of Yonkoma stuff, but like, I guess Yonkoma books have that same kind of weird flow to it where you do sort of get into a rhythm, but while I'm reading, I wonder, like, am I supposed to be reading one of these at a time and then taking a break, coming back to, like...
A palate cleanser.
Yeah, like... But
you can do that, though. You can
Of course, yeah. Well, you can do whatever you want, but... So, for this particular book... It wasn't a yonkama in the sense that it wasn't like a comedy. Usually those really short mangas are usually comedy in my experience, right? But this one is not. So it definitely took me a while to get into the rhythm of it. And then by the time I got into the rhythm, it was over. And I was like, I kind of want more of this. So...
Well, it's 7 volumes now, which is insane. That's like a lot.
And is it still going? Or
it's like dinosaur
it's
comics.
Still going.
It just keeps
it's still
going.
7 came out like recently, I think, and now the anime just came out like this month.
I don't love the voices in the anime, I gotta say. I watched a trailer and I was like, that's not how Fuyutsuki-san sounds. Anyway.
That always happens though whenever it translates into anime. Like,
usually it doesn't grind my gears so much.
Oh no. I guess she was like, she's like the perfect girl, so it's like whatever voice I guess you have for that.
Yeah.
Then that's gonna be your voice. But,
Hirose says
so let me go on my question list.
Good to know.
As a descendant of Yuki Onna, Himura is a bit quirky. Which of his icy talents did you like the most? I just wanted to hear what you thought of them. Mark, do you want to go?
Yeah, absolutely. I made a couple of notes. Anthropomorphic snow smurfs, hilarious. If I could just like conjure up those little snowmen whenever I needed a friend or needed them to do my bidding or whatnot, that would be like, snow smurfs, find my keys. Snow smurfs, give me my phone charger. I would use the hell out of that superpower. But I also want to say that there was one icy talent that I thought would be very difficult to live with, and that was his cold feet attribute. Like when he got so nervous about his first day at work that literally his feet froze to the ground, and then Fuyutsuki-san happened to come by and then she gave him a cup of tea, and then he chilled out a little bit and it thawed and he was able to break free. But that would be seriously debilitating in real life.
I mean, I'm trying to think about... Of course, the correct answer is the little snowmans that float around his head. Like, if I would gladly take that if someone offered it to me, but... I'm trying to think of, like, if there are useful applications for this kind of power. And the only thing I could come up with is, like, on those really, really hot days in the summer where you've been out all day, maybe you're coming home from work, you're just, like, your clothes have that thing going on where you've sweat through them a whole bunch of times and it's the end of the day and you're just feeling gross. Sticky. And if you could just... Yeah, you're not at your best. And if you could just, like, suddenly... coat yourself in ice, like how great that would feel.
That would feel amazing, especially in a humid summer.
Right? In wintertime, not so great. But yeah, so if I guess I don't think you can control it though, so I would have to learn how to control my nervousness. if it made me turn into an ice block.
Did you guys didn't like his like igloo thing when he was doing overtime?
The igloo was nice.
By, like an igloo.
But the igloo is nice, but I felt like he was just Genjitsu Tohi. He was just like running away. He was using that as an escape mechanism.
I would like to run away into an igloo though.
It would be nice to have that option at least. Be better than wearing a mask all the time, you know?
You just summon an igloo around your mouth?
Yeah.
It
would probably be good for the recording of this podcast, too, because, like, I think the inside of an igloo famously has really good acoustics, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's how they did the Black Album.
So, next question is, I think you'll have a lot of opinions about this, I thought that Fuyutsuki is, like, she's cool, but she says a lot of things that I think would be potentially embarrassing. So, if she were not a Kuru girl, like, she might get really embarrassed, very, like, exaggeratedly. But she doesn't because she's cool. But what was your favorite cool moment, I guess?
Oh, I mean, the coffee one for sure. I already mentioned it, but so Himuro's at his desk. He's working late for whatever reason, and he doesn't even really see her approach. He just kind of looks up, and it's a full-page illustration of her just like holding out a can of coffee to him with kind of not even like any particular kind of expression on her face. And what does she say? Just like gambare, like just some
something like very like coffee commercial.
But just like very low key. And I'm imagining if I had been in Himuro's position, I would have fallen in love with whoever that was. And if like could have been anybody, Could have been anyone. But
like, the way that she hands it over is very cool.
Extremely cool.
Like, I've had people hand me coffee before, but not that cool.
Usually I have to pay them for the pleasure,
Usually you do,
and usually like they're wearing a Starbucks
or
apron. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah. She's like, muri shinai de kudasai ne.
Yeah.
And then she goes, ja.
That's such
also, I feel like
line.
that's something in Japan that everyone, like, wants people to say.
That's true.
That's why people try so hard. They want people to notice and then, like, say, hey, don't try so hard. It's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy. But I don't think that's what Himuro-kun is doing, because he's definitely like in his own world. He's got like a one-track mind, so he's not doing that to get noticed. But I don't know, the magic just works for these two. You want to see them together.
Yeah.
I mean, can you think of a cooler moment than that, Mark?
No, so I thought of a more cringe moment. The two most
the
cringy is the opposite. There was two things that really made me cringe, and one was early on, the date at the restaurant. When they nothing was clicking and like I was like, this is so awkward.
I mean, it can't go well on a first date. Especially they barely know each other.
Normally it does.
Yeah, usually if it doesn't, there isn't a second date.
Yeah. Usually if it doesn't, there's a second date. But
it would have been a very quick series. But the fact that she gets the work call, which is a no-no, by the way. You should not take a work call on your date if you can avoid it. But she like steps out, takes the call from her boss, and then Himuro-kun is just talking to the waiter, and he's like, "This is the best date ever." And she overhears that, and she's like, "Oh, this is awesome."
Yeah, I mean,
see, that's such a manga thing.
If she weren't into him, then
I
mean, there would be no second date. But because she's into him,
I was wondering, like, if the date, if it was just sort of on the precipice between, like, I can't tell if I'm enjoying this first date or not. You can really imagine it going either way. Like, you hear the person saying, "This is the best date ever," and you're just like, "Oh, no, it's not. I'm leaving. Like, I can't even go back to the table now."
Just take off.
But that's really like a make or break right there. So it's good that she was already into him, I guess.
Yeah, well, I think the thing is, like, because she's like cool, like she comes off maybe like standoffish. So
she's probably really hard to read.
Yeah.
Oh, she's definitely hard to read.
Yeah. So at the beginning of this manga, like, it's got this really unusual structure, because I think usually when it's a romance story, right, regardless of the medium, usually you really get to know the two characters first, and you kind of watch it build up, and you notice the little cute moments, and they kind of maybe don't even like each other at first. But this book starts like almost in media res, like it's just like here are these two people, they have a crush on each other, go. And it's just, it took me a minute to like figure out.
I mean, you can really tell at that point that this was not meant to be a serialization.
Yeah,
it was
no,
just
that's a
like,
good point. Yeah.
Like, just like something that this person just really wanted to get out on paper. Like, they just had this stuff in their head, and they're like, I just need to, like, put this out in the world.
And it's just amazing how, like, you're totally exactly right. And then by the end of the first volume, she's kind of backpedaled and, like, built in their backstory, and you do feel like you know who they are as people by the end of it. I was really impressed by the way she was able to do that, so that was cool.
What were you going to say, Mark?
I was going to say it started off as a vehicle for bad puns, and then it really evolved into actual storytelling about halfway through. And by the time they got into like the backstory where they meet on their first day of work or not, I felt like it was really solid storytelling.
Yeah. But just the have you ever seen a structure quite like that? I
I think she fell into that.
Because so often with manga, like the first chapter has all this stuff crammed into it, and then so this was almost like that.
I also think that's like the orthodox way. Like I think when you finally get like the manga that we're reading, right, the tankobon version, like the actual volumes
that's
that are
like
coming.
Planned.
That's literally planned, and that author is working with an editor, and they're like putting in all these ideas in their head. And I think what I've heard is that for the first couple of chapters, like make or break, and they leave so many roads open, and they pack in so many characters so they can take it in different directions. Exactly. And if you're like jump, you're doing those reader polls, like who's your favorite character, like what's your favorite manga and whatnot, and then they use that data to decide and influence how the story goes from there. Mm-hmm. But you didn't get that in this. There was only 4 characters in the entire series that I noticed that were named. The 2 main characters, and then Komori-san and Saejima.
Yeah. The other co-workers. And then later, you see that Komori-san, she's, I mean, it's in her name, Fox, that she's a fox demon descendant.
Yeah, there's a lot of potential there. That definitely is intriguing. But the structure is really cool. It makes me want to read more, independently produced stuff, because you can do so many interesting things with building the world in different ways. So that was fun
kudos
to
to Square Enix for picking this up.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm sure they're glad that they did.
Well, I mean, when you see things being like going crazy online, though, then you're like, okay, I could put this into a book and make people like pay for this. So,
that's exactly what they did.
I love that business model.
It's a time-tested business model. Oh yeah, here's a little bit awkward question that I didn't know if you guys actually wanted to answer or not. But do you get personal with colleagues at work? Could be, I don't know, romantic, friend, office gossip. How are you at work?
It's
how would you be as a colleague, as a female colleague? I guess, I don't know.
I'd like to think of myself as a cool female colleague. Mm-hmm. Mark, have you ever brought anybody a can of coffee?
Oh my gosh, yes, and I've had so many senpai give me cans of coffee as well, but it was never anything like the episode in this volume. It was always like, this was always precipitated by, why the F am I here this late at night? And then the senpai comes and gives you a can of coffee, and it's like, I don't need a can of coffee, I need you to work on this PowerPoint with me.
And then he's like, don't overextend yourself.
And I'm like,
don't work too hard, buddy.
Don't work too hard.
This is like playing mobile games on his phone. Yeah.
You just really don't want want to go home, do you?
Just really loving this job.
Yeah, some people just love to be there.
They do. They do.
I ought to feel like I'm a part of something.
Yeah. But I mean, like, to your question, do you get personal with colleagues at work? Absolutely. Yeah, I feel like I'm a personal guy, and I love to make connections. I mean, I have not I've never like really taken it to extremes. I've never experienced office romance, which I think some people have, and it's been very rewarding for them. But I think most people actually do like the personal connections that are made with their colleagues. And if they say that they don't, you're probably lying.
Or you just have shitty colleagues.
Or you just have shitty colleagues. Or you're an ice king. Yourself. Jason, what about you?
I have the thing where I'm extremely closed off to people. They think I'm not friendly because I just don't know how to make small talk. I have a hard time meeting people for the first time, but I'm the kind of person where like once we get to know each other, it's like we're super close. Like all of a sudden, I just it's that first step that I have trouble with. So what I've noticed is like since shifting to online, like everybody's working remotely most of the time. Sometimes people go to the office. So it's kind of like when you do go to the office, you never really know who you're going to see. So it's this weird thing where like I feel like some people I work with are complete strangers, but then other people I work with are like really close buddies, and it's this weird dynamic. So that's been recently, but in the past, yeah, I always have like my office best friend, and like we're friends to the point where like we're joking around and laughing too much, like the kids in the classroom that the teacher has to be like, will you shut up, please get back to work. I've never quite had an office romance. I got really, really close once way back a million years ago when I worked in a hotel.
Oh wow! So
hotels.
many rooms.
So many rooms.
I know. Well, it sounds a lot maybe more exciting than it actually was. But
were you the concierge or something?
I was a concierge for a while, but after that, and then I worked. I was kind of on like management track, so I was like front desk, a little bit of back house.
A lot
stuff,
of open doors there.
There was this one real Fuyutsuki type who worked in the restaurant, and sometimes she would get asked to help out with the desk staff, right? And all the desk staff who would be going around the hotel, we would get to wear walkie-talkies with earpieces.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
But we got to the point where we started doing like inside jokes with each other on the walkie-talkies, but also everyone else could hear them.
Oh man!
So at one point we had to like step aside and say like, what are we doing here? And we decided to just like take it easy and take a breather. We were both kind of involved with people at the time, but I could have seen that could have gone a different way. Maybe I'll make a manga about that. Walkie-talkie.
It does sound walkie-talkie
love.
Walkie-talkie love.
Walkie-talkie hotel.
We'll get pictures.
That does sound like it would be a good manga. Maybe you should start writing little snippets of it and put it online, put it on Pixiv.
Yeah, see if
the fans, if you get some
bites.
fans.
That's not a bad idea. Okay.
Then you get a book deal later. So
maybe we'll talk about it in a future episode.
What is this? I think it was like over 650,000 copies.
Wow.
My goodness.
Like the whole series. So
From a
That's great.
Pittix.
Is that before the anime got announced?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, the anime got announced. I mean, it's recently. So the anime got announced last summer. So maybe it was WoW that was getting announced.
But still, I mean,
I'm sure it's going to bump
really
up now.
Yeah, I wonder what it's at now.
So good job, Tonogaya sensei.
Yes.
She's swimming in it now.
I hope she's rich and she can buy a house that isn't so damn hot in the summer.
Yeah, I mean, that's all of Japan, though. Like, I don't know. I think that there's more insulation now. Like, if people don't know, Japan is famously
Have you heard that
uninsulated houses.
How many
seasons?
How many seasons does Japan have?
I don't know, but you can feel you can feel every season from
That's
inside your house. That's like the famous.
They're built that way.
Yeah, it's so that you never forget what season you're in.
It's to instill a sense of morality about the seasons.
Yeah.
No one is better than seasons.
Although I have the heater blasting now, so actually I don't
too.
feel the cold right now.
What about you, Alex? Have you ever had any interesting office times?
Well, like I did. There was a time when my best friend, I said like, come and work at this company, and this company's about romance games.
Nice.
So I was working with my best friend at a romance game company. So just every day is like
falling
too
in
much.
love with work.
Yeah, falling in love with work. And one day we were even drawing nipples onto the men because
That's great.
we were like, the Western fans want nipples.
They want nipples.
So we were like strategizing which nipple type
Bring us
each guy
the
would have.
nipples.
Yeah. So anyway, we were pretty
Nipple
loud.
types.
We got in trouble.
There's more than one. You got in trouble.
Yeah. Got in
These are the
trouble.
wrong nipple types.
Yeah. And I mean, I've seen office
Return
romance
to
happen, and I've seen it gone bad, so
Yeah.
I never wanted to be in that. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit of a leap of faith, right? Because if it doesn't go well, then someone has to leave. 2 men enter.
No,
one
like
man
I mean, the
leaves.
thing is that they didn't, so it was just kind of like just in the hall, just being like, yeah, hi,
Hey.
you exist still. kind
Awkward.
Of thing.
That's
Very
a real
awkward.
ice show.
Yeah.
Well, that's
But,
back in high school, right? When people
my
would break up.
brother-in-law is office romance, marriage. And,
Oh, wow.
Oh.
And they're going swimmingly. So.
Do they still work together?
Like she went on maternity leave, so I don't know if she's going back after.
Wow.
I assume she probably would be going back after.
That's a real strong relationship. If you could just do you just commute holding hands on the train? Like,
you have to,
Because that's how my wife and
it's
I
the rule.
still holding hands.
I
10 years
assume
on.
every marriage is like my marriage, where we are constantly holding hands. My wife is holding my hand. She's just out of frame. You can't see her in the Zoom.
There's more and more
I
love
hope she
every
didn't
day.
hear about the walkie-talkie story.
No,
I mean,
no, she knows all about
it. Oh, okay.
You turned her walkie-talkie way up for that one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I'm just for friendship or office gossip, although I'm not the biggest gossip. I know that there's a lot bigger gossips out there.
Trying not to
what
be.
I found out.
It's
Lord
real
knows.
hard to work in an office and not gossip about it at all, is what I find.
Yeah, I mean...
It takes a dedicated effort not to.
There's levels of gossip, though.
Dude, Mark is just laughing knowingly.
Yeah. Well,
He's got his own thoughts.
A smile and a wink. No, it's true.
So, sorry, going to my next question. If you could be born as the descendant of any mythical creature, what would it be? What would be your power? Like any creature of any culture is what I wanted to brought into. Jason, what
So the
about
first,
you?
this is such a fun question. You can go a few different ways with this one. So one, I thought it would be cool to be the distant relative of a leprechaun, provided that nobody has yet found the pot of gold, and I know where it is.
Okay.
Right? So pretty
But
dependent
wait,
on
what
that.
if gold prices have been going down
No,
recently?
it's still gold standard.
Okay, it's still gold
prices.
standard.
Still go to.
I would, if somebody said to me, "Hey, do you want a pot of gold right now?" I'd be like, "Yeah, absolutely."
As you finish the last bite in your bowl of Lucky Charms.
They're magically delicious.
So what other things do leprechauns do besides have a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow?
I think
St. Patty's Day?
shenanigans,
Shenanigans.
Right?
Okay, sure.
tomfoolery. These are things I enjoy anyway. Maybe I am the descendant of a leprechaun. Also thought it would be fun to be a descendant of the Loch Ness Monster, because I could just live in my own lake forever and no one would ever find me, even though I'm just in this one lake that everyone knows where I am.
Can you imagine trying to take attendance with that guy at school?
We know he's in there.
Wait, you wouldn't come out of the lake at all
No.
to do anything?
No,
Okay.
because then people would find me and they'd be like, "There he is." My merch sales would go way down, and then, but I think the real answer is a phoenix, right? Because I presume that you would just keep getting reborn all the time. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. Would you remember what happened before? Like,
Oh
I don't
my
know
god,
what
that would be
phoenixes
traumatic.
do.
Yeah, actually, I didn't think about that.
Because like it
Okay.
seems like a new life, right? With phoenixes, like I don't know if they.
Yeah, wait. Well,
remember what
canonically,
happened.
I've never spoken to a phoenix, so I'm not sure how it works. But do they retain their memories? I guess they're birds, right? Do birds even have memories?
No, not very long ones. I think it remains to be seen.
Okay.
What about you, Mark? What would you be?
A mother effing Pegasus, because that shit can fly. And I would be like, Pegasus, come forth! And then just
And
like,
it would just be you.
and it would be me. I would turn into a
You
Pegasus.
summon
and
yourself.
I would summon
I
myself.
could
and I would
totally
ride in
see
the sky
Mark
with
summoning
these
himself.
diamond wings. It would be amazing.
It would be like having a stand in real life. That would
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
awesome. Except you're your own stand.
You're
Be your own stand.
I love it. What about you, Alex? What would you be?
I didn't like think of cool ones like you guys. I just thought like maybe Tanuki, because then I could like change into an old person to get senior discounts. Like that was
useful.
what I was thinking.
I love it.
It's a practical superpower.
Hey, in this economy,
Or I could turn
use a senior
into an
discount.
elementary school student and ride public transportation for free, maybe.
I'm realizing that can Tanuki just turn into whatever they want?
Is that?
I thought they
Yeah.
could. Oh wow!
Right?
Okay.
Isn't that what they... Can't they just turn into whatever they want?
They're definitely shapeshifters.
Good for them.
Yeah. Don't they like put a leaf on their head and do it?
I just
need a
remember
leaf.
what's the Ghibli movie where it's a
yeah.
I just love how their gigantic scrotums are referred to as pouches.
The thing is, like, I don't know if I would be a male one, because, like, I don't know the feeling of having that.
No, I'm not putting myself in Tanuki category, but that just seems like it would be extremely burdensome to me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It might be extra weight.
It would definitely be extra weight.
Yeah.
Mark, is that a Tanuki?
Literally in my room right now.
Wow. Speak of the Tanuki.
It looked like they were very cold.
Was that a cool female colleague?
Yes, a cool female colleague.
Cold as ice. I just listening in on the walkie-talkie.
Love it.
Yeah, so that was my uninteresting answer. I didn't look up Tanuki. I should have looked up Tanuki lore. I know
Tanuki Mario can turn into a stone version of himself. That could be fun.
You sure can.
I don't know if turning to stone would be cool. I mean, I saw Stone World. What was it? Not Stone World, Dr. Stone.
I was going to say, is that like Dr. Stone?
Yeah.
I don't know if bullies were giving you a hard time and you just turned yourself into stone. That would be kind of better than turtling, right?
They would walk right past you, not even be able to touch you.
Yeah, I guess. Or they'd make fun of the fact that you need to turn into stone to stop being bullied.
I guess they would just wait for you to stop being a stone and then pummel you like bullies usually do.
Yeah.
Very patient bullies.
Yeah, they're very patient bullies.
Most bullies are quite patient.
A lot of time on their hands.
What else?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you do need to have the time if you're going to, like, actually, like, target one individual.
When you decide to devote your life to bullying, you really decide.
The thing is, I actually have never been thank God, like, I've never been the target of a bully. But
you're getting real here.
Yeah, but whenever I watch, like, media, it always seems like they're very, like, into, like, one person only.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is that really the way it is? Like, are they really into only one person? Like,
it does seem like a sort of twisted form of romance, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
I bet if you were the victim, then you would most definitely feel like you were being targeted and singled out. I mean, otherwise, it wouldn't be like a bully situation, and I think that would form a large part of the narrative. But no, I don't know.
Well, this has been Bully Talk.
Yes, this has been Bully Talk. I guess let us know, and I'm sorry if you
send us your bullying stories. No,
no,
please don't. Actually,
yeah, don't. It would be sad. It would be maybe a bummer. But
unless they're funny. If they're funny bully stories, or if you know how to turn into stone, then please let us know. Write in mangaroospodcast@gmail.com. So going into the last question, a non-bully question of who would you recommend this to, unless you need to like give someone a heartwarming or like a heart-chilling story to like make them calm down. I don't know. Someone who's just currently in a rage. Here,
I don't know who.
Stop rampaging.
Would you think would like to read this story, Mark?
People who are totally crushing on someone right
now.
Because if you can see
exactly
yourself and you can see the person that you are totally crushing on in 3D with this thing.
In 3D. Yeah. It's 2D but 3D.
2D but 3D.
I read this manga with my 3D glasses on. Really enhanced it for me. No, I think that's exactly the answer, right? Like, I can think of and it involved snow. There was the one really big unrequited crush in my life was when I was like 22, maybe, something like that. And I was working at the Canadian version of Starbucks, which is called, well, maybe I shouldn't give away too much because maybe she's listening.
Keep your secrets.
But point is,
But do all Canadians know what the Canadian version of Starbucks is?
They would have to.
They're listening right now. They know what it is.
So they know.
It's not Tim
you guys
Hortons.
know.
It's not Tim Hortons. But the point is, like, we got really, really close to confessing our feelings for each other one time, and it didn't happen, and I had to walk home, and it was like snowing really hard, and I still remember that to this day.
But is that like every day in Canada?
Yeah, it was July. It was July 8th. But
almost to the summer thaw.
If I could somehow take this manga back in time and give it to that young woman, it would feel so perfect. I don't know if it would change the course of destiny or whatever, but that's exactly the kind of situation where you would want to recommend this manga, like, hey, and you'd be cool about it, right? You'd be a cool female colleague about it. You'd be like, hey, I just happen to read, I don't know, I'm not even really into manga or whatever, but I thought this was cool. I thought you might want to check it out. Like, hey, you know, and then slide it to them. And then after that, maybe you'd like make out or something. I don't know. But
yeah, you're the cool female colleague of my heart.
Except I choose you.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So I think it has to be that kind of situation. What do you think, Alex? Who would you recommend it to?
I mean, my friend recommended it to me, just because I like a lot of...
Was it your romance company friend?
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Nice.
She knows I like character moe.
Do you?
Yeah. Yeah, I like relationship with characters that are very, like, I don't know, just very cute. And then also actually... my husband is a lot like Himuro in that he's like a secret Kansai character.
Really?
Like,
that's something that we have not discussed.
Like, he keeps his standard Japanese as his normal. And I thought, like, okay, he's from Kansai, but he doesn't speak that way. And then the first time I met his parents, he suddenly changed into, like, Kansai.
Whoa.
Man. And I was like, whoa, who's this? Who's this man?
Snowman popping everywhere.
Yeah, there's snowmen everywhere. And I was like, oh my god. Like, and I was like, it was a big Munekyu moment for me, but also a big shock, because I was like, whoa, there's like a different person in this person I know.
Does his character change too, or does he just change the way he talks?
Well, it's like the way he talks, but then also his like tone and stuff. So it is kind of like, it feels like a different person. I don't know if you guys have like to me, it's like not normal in my life to like switch between an accent and not, but what about you guys? Like, has that ever... Do you do it, or do people around you do it?
When Mark gets surrounded by other people from North Carolina, he slips right into Coca-Cola mode and just...
an RC Cola and a moon pie.
Just goes to town.
when I am with my mother and father, well, I would say when I still lived in North Carolina, I would absolutely avoid the southern accent like a plague. I was not... I don't know, because I grew up with TV or what have you. I was always conscious that the other people around me were speaking with a deep southern drawl, as were my parents, but maybe because I was raised by the television set, I just did not have that naturally inside of me. But since leaving the place of my birth and living in other places, I have found that I do find comfort in that accent. And then when I speak to my parents now, I will sometimes just slip into it for fun. And maybe it's inside me because I was born and raised with it, and I just never realized it before. But I don't know if I become a different person, but it definitely adds a little bit of color to our interactions.
Yeah, similar thing for me. I mean, when I go back home, if I'm with my family long enough, and you know, if it's the right mix of like the right people, the right vibes, it's not exactly a different accent, but it's just like a different cadence, different way of speaking, but it definitely nothing like that happens when I'm just by myself, right? Like, so the idea of suddenly slipping like the way Himuro does, where he's
it's like his, his like inside voice.
Yeah.
Like his
it's just
head inside his head, I guess.
it's a funny thing, and it's a thing that's done a lot in Japanese media, where someone will like slip into their hometown dialect, and everyone's like, whoa. So it's a cute thing. Did it matter that he was a Kansai person? Did that change his character at all for you, or was that just like, that's just part of who he is?
No, I just thought it was like, oh, whoa, interesting. But also, I want to know then how his family came to like move southern, because it's like not a Niigata accent, so it's not like
it's not a place that you traditionally think was very snowy.
Well, it is a distant relative, so maybe they've been around.
I want to know about the Yuki-onna family. Like, I guess they made their way down for new economic opportunities in the Kansai area.
I mean, it was poppin'.
You gotta wonder, like, there's 7 volumes of this thing. It can't be 7 volumes of will they, won't they.
No, I bet it is. I bet it is. I bet it is. But like 7 volumes, they keep going.
The slow burn, but slow chill, I guess.
Well, that might be fun in its own right, I guess. I hope they've kissed by now. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, I hope so too. But
look at all of us wishing them well.
Who would you want to read this manga?
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. Just what everyone's saying. People who are ready to fall in love with someone, because that's what this will make you do. It shows you the fun side of love. Like, this is literally like this.
What's this? The not fun side is like what, putting your kids to sleep.
That's not love. That's obligation.
Putting your kids to sleep. Putting your kids to sleep is something that you have to do.
No, it's a form of love. There's different.
It is a form of love.
It can take many forms.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. That's absolutely a form of love. The form of love that is, well, I mean, like the unfun side of love is like, having to get up early to take out the trash or whatnot. But this is
because you love and respect your local trash regulations.
Because I love and respect my regular trash. No, but this is like this is why people get together. I think this manga captures it extremely well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's a lot of like really warm moments of human connection.
Mm-hmm. Just warms the heart. But Alex, how would you rate this manga?
I don't know. It's like hard to. I should read more of it too. Like I kind of like forgot I had this, and then when we started talking about like snow type themes, I was like, wait, this is in my bookshelf, and I never bought volume 2, but I liked volume 1.
So you've had this one for a while.
Yeah, I've had it for
cool.
a while because my friend recommended it to me like around the time it became a book.
Oh wow! Okay.
So I was an early adapter, I guess.
Cutting edge.
But yeah. So what was the question? Sorry.
How would you rate this manga?
What would I rate? It's like the thing is like I don't read a lot of romance things, so I don't have a lot of good. Despite having worked at a romance game company, I'm not like the biggest romance person. But this is good for people who are not the biggest romance people, I think, like that don't need like a super romance story. So like it's really good as like a light romance.
Yeah.
So like I would rate it highly as a light romance, but if you really want like a fleshed out, like full length drama romance, I don't think this is it. But then I need to read volume 2 to know that. So yeah, so it's hard for me to put numbers or like quantifiers, but I would say read it more than don't read it.
Yeah, I loved it for exactly that reason. I'm not a huge romance person. I actually generally enjoy stories that don't have. I think usually the romance subplot kind of obfuscates more than it adds to a plot. But this was exactly like you said. It was really lighthearted. It's fluffy in a good way. It's all the fun parts of romance. I would give it 3 floating snowmans out of 3. 3 out of a possible 3 floating snowmans. Floating tiny snowmans. The highest possible rating.
A good one. A good rating. What about you, Mark? How many snowmans, or I don't know what you want to quantify it with?
Well, I gave it 7 Chili Willies. I thought it was...
Okay.
It did a really good job.
Sorry, that recently a British prince came out with a memoir where he talks about his Chili Willy. It just made me think of that. I don't know if you heard.
I think I got to read Spare. There's something going on there that I wasn't aware of.
There's a lot of subtext to this comment. No, I think she did a really good job of capturing human emotion and what makes people attracted to each other. So there's a real magnetism in her work. But I also thought that she is definitely like, at least in this first volume, she's got a bit of a one-trick pony thing going on, and she uses it again and again. So I would like to see future volumes evolve upon that format, and I'd like to see where it goes from there.
Yeah, good point. I think this one establishes a lot of goodwill, but I am sort of curious to see where it goes from here.
Yeah. I think that, like, because this was, like, the beginning of being a hit, then maybe the second one does have more, but yeah, I need to read it more to see.
I think we're all intrigued.
Yeah,
we're all intrigued.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, sorry, who's... Oh, yeah. Jason, the next read is you, right?
Yeah, so next week we will be reading Snowball Earth obviously Volume 1, because we always read Volume 1. Snowball Earth by Tsujitsugu Yuhiro. So this one is from Big Comic Spirits. I don't think it found a huge audience, but the people who read it liked it a lot, and it got some really heavy hitter type endorsements. So obviously complete tonal shift from this book. It's like a sci-fi kind of action adventure set in outer space. So look forward to that. That'll be a fun one, I think. As always, if you like the show, or if you want to get in touch with us, please send us an email at mangaroospodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. If you're reading along with us, that would be super cool. If you have stuff you want us to read, let us know.